Begin the chapters of the Revolution of Avshalom. Yesterday, we learned at the end of chapter 14 about the personality, some of the personality of Avshalom, and many of us saw what the Tanakh expressed, that bodily or physically, he's a complete person, which could make him specially eligible to become king. We saw that he's a Nazir as well. Some of these things could be symbolizing that he's ready for Malchut, that he's ready for the king to become king. Certainly we're understanding that he is a powerful person, he's a man of initiative, and now he's back. But maybe as we approach this chapter and learn about this rebellion, we have to ask a very special question, and that is, could it be possible that if you turn to verse Pasuk, where do we see? Yeah, look at Pasuk 12. Let's start the chapter by skipping to Pasuk Yud Bet. And look what happens, the support that he gains in the middle of the Pasuk towards the end, Vayya Kesher Amitz, meaning the rebellion. Kesher is a revolt. Okay, in chapter 15, of course, where we are, his rebellion is very strong. Ve'am, listen to this, Holech varav et Avshalom. More and more national support he's getting in his rebellion. And you know what? When you learn this chapter from your Rabbanim, your Talmidei Chachamim, any Tanakh teacher, the question is asked. I also heard it from our Franco in one of the Shurim from the Golan Heights. How can that be possible? The people are supporting Avshalom. I mean, do you remember what happened? Who is David? Isn't David the model of the king of Israel? That the Tanakh testifies. He's doing justice. He's doing righteousness. He's reached the borders, the promised borders that God promised to Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, that was never reached before. So if he is the ideal king, then we're asking, how could it be that people are what? Supporting, not just people, but a majority of the nation are supporting Avshalom. How does this happen? It's a major question, isn't it? We're going to have to learn. We're going to learn today that is Vayignov Leiv Bnei Israel, that he's a thief. He steals the hearts. He fools people. He knows how to do a great conspiracy. He knows how to be a real liar nationally, big time. How does he gain support of the nation? We're amazed. Now, let's begin.
How did it go from he was...
That's exactly the question.
He wanted to come in and he was like, he missed his Abba and all these things, and all of a sudden, where is the rebellion?
That's what we're going to learn, and that's the question we're asking. But how does he reach support? Isn't David the model? Isn't David the archetype, the binyanav of who is a king of Israel? Head of the army, he's at the top of the Sanhedrin, he's scholarly, gives up his life for Klal Yisrael. He endangered his life. How does he lose support? Let's see now, this chapter, how the Tanakh tells us right now. Let's begin. Perek Tedvav Pasuk Aleph. We learned about his character traits. We learned about how he's so complete bodily. We learned how he's like a Nazir. He only takes a haircut once every so year and so. Pasuk Aleph, Vayi Macharechen. You see, it's clearly a follow-up of the last matters. Vayas lo Avshalom merkava, v'susim, v'chamishim ishvatzim alav. What does he do? He practices the etiquette, the mannerism of a king. He hires horses. He has an entire listing of chariots. He has 50 people wherever he goes. 50 people walk with him. Wow! Everyone on CBS and NBC are watching him. Okay? Everyone is watching what he's doing. Amazing. So number one, he puts on a show. Wherever he walks, 50 people in front of him. You know, He has cars in front of him, cars in back of him. Wow, he's shrewd. Stage 1. Stage 2, Pasuk Bet. Vishkim Avshalom. He would get up early in the morning, not like who? Kings. Kings get up later during the day. Why? They don't have so much responsibility. Except for David HaMelech, you're right, he gets up at midnight. Kings usually don't get up early in the morning. What does he do? Hishkim Avshalom ve'amad al yad derech hashar. We know a shar of a city in Eretz Yisrael is a what?
Gate.
For what?
For a city, for a town.
More than that?
A kibbutz. Village?
No.
It's like the place, like the
Beit Mishpat. At the entrance to the city, there's justice. Sure. Shoftim v'shotrim titen lecha bechol sharecha. Okay. Where's that? Shoftim chapter 14, approximately. So he gets up there. He stands on line by the shar where people are waiting on line to go into the Beit Din. And he starts talking. Every person that's here having litigation there, and they're coming to the king who's head of the court, Lamishpat. And you know what he would say? Hi, Shalom, how are you? Where are you from? Which city? Take a personal interest in you. Do you ever think the court would say, where are you from? What is this, a social law? It's a moadon? No. But he starts asking, what city are you from? The person would respond, from one of the tribal areas. And then he would say, Avshalom, he heard his case. He heard his problem. And he would say, you know, you're probably right what you're saying. And you should really win the court case. But here, he's pointing to his court. David, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. And he starts talking every day, gets up in the morning, and he tells people, and he's working very hard. Okay? Not the way kings work, getting up later. And he's hinting to everyone coming up to Yerushalayim to do justice that who really doesn't really hear your court case properly? David HaMelech doesn't really properly hear your court case. And you're from that tribe, Tov. Of course. Which tribe does he hear his court case properly? His own tribe, probably. In other words, he's trying to buy support from the people that alight to Yerushalayim and have a case. Pasuk Daled, verse 4, he says a wish. Vayomer Avshalom, mi yasimeni shofet ba'aretz. Okay? Halavai, that it would be that I would be appointed to what? To bring judgment here in the land of Israel. I should be really the shofet. And you know what he's basically saying? If I'm going to be a shofet, then I should really be the leader afterwards, although it doesn't spell it out. Ve'alai yavo kolish, on me, to me. Everyone should bring his litigation of shielo rivu mishpat v'tztaktiv. So gentlemen, we see here two issues. Number one, he plays it like he's a king. Everywhere he goes, he has an entourage of people, horses, and so on and so forth. He acts as if he's like a king. Number two, every morning, gets up early, he goes to the line of people waiting for litigation in court, and says, you're not going to be heard here. It's a waste of your time. If I would be the judge, then I would give this psak din and that psak din in your favor and so on. It's interesting that he's working on to get support because he feels there's a problem of justice in the country. Who understands? Where does he see this from? No justice done to Amnon that raped Tamar. No justice done to Avshalom that killed Amnon. In other words, Avshalom is shrewd, smart, and he's an opportunist. He sees there's a weakness right now nationally, led by the king. Thank you so much. And he says, I'm going to promise others justice. But this is just two things he does. Look at matter number 3 that he does. Pasuk Hey. Vaya. And when it happened, Bekrov ish, When a fellow Jew came to him, lishtachavot lo, and he bowed down to him. There are people that know that Avshalom is a very important person, and there would be those people that would bow down. What would Avshalom do? V'shalach et yado, v'chzik lo, v'nashak lo. Gentlemen, who's kissing whose hand?
The king, the servant of the king is kissing the hand of the...
Avshalom is kissing their hand.
Why?
Sucker.
Gain their trust? What is he showing?
Loyalty.
Loyalty?
Like he's their servant.
Wow, is he shrewd. Look, do you remember what Chazal talk about in matters of gaining honor, of gaining kavod? Okay, do you remember? What do Chazal say? What about someone that pursues kavod? The kavod will flee from him. Okay? Harodef acharei kavod, akavod borech mimenu. Right? What do you think Avshalom learned Pirkei Avot? Absolutely, even though it wasn't written yet. Why wasn't it written? What? It's what? You want to tell me Pirkei Avot was brought into the world from the time of Rabbi Yehuda? Is that what you want to say? Thank you. Moshe Kibel Torah. Which Torah? I don't need the mission to tell me that he received Torah Shebichtav. That we all know. It says it in the Chumash. What? That's what Ravadia Bartanura says. The first mission of Pirkei Avot is telling me that all these morals, all these, no matters of halacha in Pirkei Avot, all of this comes from Sinai. So, does Avshalom know the mission of Pirkei Avot? The answer is yes, absolutely. And he knows that he wants to show publicly, I'm not pursuing kavod. How does he demonstrate that? He kissed the hands of others. He wants to prove that by kissing the hands of others, he's really stealing the mind of people. He's what? The people that came to be with him or bow down to them, the person would send out his hand. Avshalom held on to it, v'nashak lo, and kissed it. By showing this, he's showing that he's borech min hakavod. He's actually honoring others. So this is a tactic number 3. Tactic number 3, how he's stealing slowly the support of the people by showing there's a problem nationally, justice. I'm going to provide you justice. Number 2, I'm acting like a king, 50 people, horses, and so on. And number 3, I'm not looking for power. I'm willing even to kiss you. And you're not even an important person. He came from Carmiel. He's not important. Okay? Don't take it as in the front. He'll explain to you that I'm playing with you. I'm just playing with you.
I used to live there.
There you go. Gentlemen, Pasuk Vav. Vayas Avshalom kadavar hazeh lechol Yisrael asher yavo lamishpat el hamelech. My dear friends, Avshalom is shrewd. He has a conspiracy here. He's putting on an act, but he's consistent. Day after day, those coming from distance to Yerushalayim to go to the Beit Mishpat of David HaMelech, he treats everyone. He kisses them. He says, I'll provide you from justice. And here the Torah tells us in the narrative, the Tanakh tells us, at the end of Pasuk 6, here it is, he's doing it l'kol Yisrael, whether people are close to him or people are distant from him. What is he doing? Vayiganev Avshalom et lev anshe Yisrael. This is it. He's stealing the show. People really think he's authentic. People really think he is sincere. People think that, maybe we need a leader like this. Now, I want to ask you the following. Everything's planned out. He wants to go ahead, next stage, and declare publicly, press conference, important people, and declare that he's the new king. Where would you, if you were Avshalom, Where would you go to declare your kingdom? Where would you not go to declare your kingdom? David, strategically, I know you know what's written. I know you read the pasuk. Where would you go to declare your kingdom, which is clearly not just not supporting his father, but it's a slap in the face to his father? Where do you think you're going to get support? Where do you think you're not going to get support? You're not going to get support in Yerushalayim. Where else? Where will you get support? Very good, like where? Carmiel, okay. Nachalat, what is it? Asher Carmiel? Nachalat Asher? Ephraim, the house of Yosef. Yeah, no, that's Carmel in the southern Chevron Mountains. He used to have Carmel up in the Galilee. Where would you think you would not get support? The last place you would have thought, and I would have thought, would be Chevron. And as we read now in Pasuk what? Zayin, Vayihi, Miketz Arba'im Shana. At the end of 40 years, all of the commentators like, what's 40 years? What are you talking about? Close. By the way, David ruled a sum total of how many years?
7 years Hebron, and
33 in Yerushalayim. So we're not talking about that. 40 years from the time the nation asked Shmuel and Navi, Sima Aleinu Melech Kechol HaGoyim. A milestone, or a kilometer stone, I don't know what they call it in Europe. In other words, from the beginning that the nation stood up and asked for a king, 40 years have passed. I think it was 3 years of the ruling of Shaul, and now maybe 37 years David is ruling in total. It'll be another 3 years afterwards. There's now a coup d'etat to happen. And as you see, he goes to his Abba, Amelech. He says, look, Abba, I'm going to pay my vows in Hebron. Before we get to paying the vows, we want to understand what in the world, Hebron, you may know, is the capital city probably of the tribe of Judah, isn't it? So why in the world would he go there? We're expecting what you answered. Go far away, tribes that are not the tribes of Judah. Maybe Benjamin, you said Yosef, and so on. Why? So I heard 2 answers, or 3 answers, that might satisfy our intellectual curiosity. Why? Avshalom declares his kingdom Dafka in Hebron. Do you remember where David started as a king? Shabbos morning at 5:10 in the morning, I was walking in the dark streets of Hebron, on the street called Rehov David HaMelech. I was en route to the Machpelah cave to pray Vatikin, and there was like no one on the street. Everyone's sleeping. There was a minyan of 30 people there, whatever. And I'm saying to myself, wow, David HaMelech walked in these streets, and we're about to learn Avshalom is going to be walking in his streets and doing a rebellion. And I, a little guy, Menachem Listman, in the year Tafshin Pei Gimel, has the merit to walk in the streets of Hebron where our ancestors walked. So maybe he wants to be like his father. David started his kingdom in Hebron, and then he transferred it to Yerushalayim. So maybe that's one answer. A second answer. You see the guy sitting next to you? He's a Hebroni. Ask him how he felt when David picked up and changed his office from Hebron to Yerushalayim. Ask him, did you lose your job? Did your friends lose your job? Your neighbors lose your job? All the civil servants working for the kingdom, we can assume this happened, working in Yerushalayim. Could it be that the Hebronim, they're not so happy with David, that he moved his office 30 whatever years ago and they lost a lot of... There could be some people that are self-interested, right? And they lost their jobs. He was the security guy guarding in there. Now he has a different security guard in Yerushalayim. In other words, there could be people in Hebron that are not content with David. Ever since he moved his office. You have a question on that?
Didn't some people go with him?
I'm sure some people went with him, but right now, who's he going to hire for a cook? He's not going to hire David Adler's catering services. It's a schlep for him from Hebron in those days. It's 40 kilometers, the entire day to go. It's not going to go good. He's going to hire a cook there, a pharmacist there.
Capital cities there.
The capital city. A lot of people, there could be people that are not happy. That could be the place to start his rebellion. Number 3, a negative strategy. What would happen if the son of David HaMelech would declare his kingdom in Binyamin, in Asher, in the Yosef tribe? How would the people of Judah react? And therefore, what would it cause? If he would declare his kingdom elsewhere, how would the people of the tribe of Judah react? As far as David's support, what would this cause? More support to David. You understand the logic? If Avshalom goes north, Binyamin, Nachalat Yosef, Asher, any of the tribes, and says, I'm going to be the next king, and he's going up against David, how would the people in the tribe of Judah feel? Offended, dismayed, insulted, and so on and so forth. That would probably add more support to who? To David. That would ruin his coup d'etat. Okay? So these are some answers why he may be Dafka going to Hebron, the capital city of Judah. I saw this, heard this by Franco in, it's a nice Spanish name, huh? Franco, in the Golan Heights, in the yeshiva where my in-law, one of my son-in-law's father, my in-law is a Rebbe in the Yeshivat Hesder there. And that's what he says there. Okay, what about Nidarim? What is he playing here? What kind of Nidarim does he have, gentlemen? I want to go pay my Nidarim in Hebron. There are some that Chazal say that the lambs being raised in Hebron are prime, super duper, Sug Aleph, Kvasim. In other words, I want to bring to the Mishkan Korbanot, and I'm going to go to Hebron to buy the most praiseworthy Kvasim, right? Ken, you got to get up early in the morning. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, do you remember who was born in Hebron? He himself grew up there in Hebron. So, Avshalom. So he wants to pay his neder in Hebron. Maybe when he was in Hebron, he made some nidarim vows. He grew up there, and he hasn't paid them so far, and he wants to go there. Does his father give him an okay? Yes or no? Pasuk Chet. Ki neder nadar avdecha b'shifti b'kshur. Here he says, I made dafka some nidarim when I was in Gishur, Ba'aram Lemor, Im Yashuv Yeshiveni Hashem Yerushalayim, Vavareti et Hashem. I have a religious reason why I want to go to Hebron. I made a neder that if I'm going to be released from my political asylum in Gishur, and I come back to Yerushalayim, I want to serve God. The king responds, Pasuk Tet Vayomer lo HaMelech, Lech B'Shalom. Vayakom Vayelech Chevrona. Gentlemen, David gives him a green light. David doesn't suspect anything here. Now let me ask you about the words Lech B'Shalom. The truth is, at the end of a funeral, when we finish a eulogy, we say publicly to the Manoach, to the one resting in peace, Lech B'Shalom. Go to the Garden of Eden, B'Shalom. Okay? So why does he say Lech B'Shalom? From here, Chazal taught us that if someone's going to do something bad, that's the term Lech B'Shalom. Otherwise, when you say goodbye to a friend, you don't say to him Lech B'Shalom. You're traveling out to Chutz La'aretz today, for instance, Pinchas is traveling to Chutz La'aretz. We say Lech L'Shalom. The Lamed L'Shalom may be a good thing. Lech B'Shalom is the person that's dead, and his neshama is going back up. That's in a bad situation. Okay.
Shalom, meaning like going into peace.
Going, another shall peace.
With peace.
Okay. So Bishalom is saying to a niftar, someone that passed away, Lech Bishalom. Whereas Lech Lishalom, may Shalom always be connected to you when you're going and traveling here, and you may all your endeavors may be successful, and so on and so forth. So the Gemara brings this matter that, you know what, Avshalom is really going for a bad thing. He's going to make a coup d'etat against him. What do you want to say? Yes.
Oh, did David HaMelech realize what he said? Was he aware that he said Bishalom?
He said it. He said it, and you know what? Every word that we say has an impact, especially someone great like David HaMelech. So, right now, yes, sir?
How didn't David know about him, like, if he was outside the gate?
I would assume that if David is expecting some bad things to happen from his son, it's part of the punishment that Natan HaNavi said that's going to happen to him as a result of his matters with Bathsheba. And you know what? He's biting the dust. You know that expression? He's accepting the din. He's going with it. He has no idea that it's going to be to the extent of a merit. And when it happens, David doesn't fight. With humility, he gets out of his office, starts going east, up to Mount Olives, goes down into the Jordan Valley, the Judean desert, crosses the river, and accepts the din. So David realizes that he makes mistakes, and he does tshuva, and he's not fighting it. That's apparently what's happening right now. We'll continue with this point in Meretz Hashem the next time.